most of the country, United States, they want a ceasefire. They want to be able to put this behind them. President Biden says he's looking into it. You wonder if there's ever going to be some pressure mounted where he is going to do some things and say, okay, well, you know what, we're going to try to see about a ceasefire. Should the United States be involved? How do you feel about this? How much of this is going to turn on the next election? Stay tuned for that. So as I was talking about, he hasn't given his decision as far as doing a ceasefire, but over 500 U.S. government officials, they signed a letter recently against Biden's support for Israel. So this letter presented to Biden and his cabinet, it calls for the president to seek an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and to push Israel to allow humanitarian aid in the territory. So this letter, it calls on Biden to de-escalate Israel's military campaign in Gaza. And the letter says, we call on President Biden to urgently demand a ceasefire and to call for de-escalation of the current conflict by securing the immediate release of the Israel hostages and arbitrarily detained Palestinians, the restoration of water, fuel, electricity, and other basic services, and the passage of adequate humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. The letter reflects, and this is interesting, mounting unease and internal dissent within the Biden administration. While the signatures of the letter are anonymous out of concern for their job and personal safety, two political appointees who helped organize the letter said the majority of the signatures were political appointees of various faiths who worked in agencies from the National Security Council to the FBI and the Justice Department. So you have people putting together letters, but they're anonymous. So anybody could unfortunately put together a letter. But if you really believe in this, if you don't fear for your life, stand by the letter, like sincerely your name. The overwhelming majority of Americans support a ceasefire, the letter says, linking a poll that said 66% of Americans, including 80% of Democrats, they believe the United States should put pressure on Israel for a ceasefire. Furthermore, Americans do not want the United States military to be drawn into another costly and senseless war in the Middle East. Yes, because are we about to be in the middle of, as some people say, World War III coming? Is there a time when we do too much for all the countries, but we don't take care of ourselves? The people writing the letters have called for humanitarian pauses, which provide a temporary break in hostilities to allow for defined humanitarian aid. And I think that's interesting because you can take a break while you're fighting so we can bring food to y'all. Well, you know, if you're taking a break, then why don't you just stop fighting and do a ceasefire? So that's the government officials.